We begin by taking you through some of the latest visuals that we've got. These visuals are of the crash, but not of the aircraft, but of the place where the aircraft crashed, BJ Medical College, where the Air India flight that was London bound crashed into. Remember, it was lunch hour and there must have been students over there. While we know that 241 people have died in this air crash, as far as the ones aboard the aircraft is concerned, the state government is yet to release if there are any casualties here at the BJ Medical College and Hospital. And as we can see here, scattered clothing, water, bottles, leftover food, and debris on the front of the plane. This was one of the worst air tragedies in the history of Indian aviation. But there was one lone survivor. On your screens now are visuals of Ramesh Vishwash Kumar walking out of a horrendous plane crash that killed all other passengers and crew. Just one survivor, him who was sitting on seat number 11A. Ahmedabad City Police Commissioner G.S. Malik has said that there appears to be no other survivors in this horrific crash. He's also said that with the plane crashing into a residential area with offices, some locals could have also lost their lives. At least 241 people on board the aircraft have been killed. The incident took place when this Air India flight carrying 232 passengers and 10 crew members was taking off for London at 1:17 p.m. The plane had 169 Indians, 53 British nationals, 7 Portuguese and 1 Canadian passenger. The plane took off at 1:17 p.m. and at 1:38 p.m. there was a Mayday call. At 1:58 p.m. the plane crashed as soon as it cleared the airport boundary. The Air India plane crashed in Meghani Nagar, a residential area located adjacent to the airport.
हमारे नेबर की लड़की लंदन में ही रहते थे, बड़ौदा से हम अभी आए हैं। अंदर जाने ही नहीं, अपडेट ही नहीं है कुछ, तो कैसे पता चलेगा। हमारे नेबर की लड़की लंदन में ही रहते थे, बड़ौदा से हम अभी आए हैं। अंदर जाने ही नहीं, अपडेट ही नहीं है कुछ, तो कैसे पता चलेगा।
लड़का है ना, वो ब्रेक पड़ा था खाने का, तो हॉस्टल में खाने गया था इधर, हॉस्टल में ही प्लेन क्रश हुआ, पर मेरे लड़का को कुछ हुआ नहीं। बात हुई मेरी, और इसके भाईबंद है ज्यादा हुए तो लोग मर गए, ये फिर मेरे लड़का को देखने जाना है अंदर। मेरे लड़का बोला है कि मैं अच्छा दूसरे माह से गिरा था ना, तो थोड़ा खाली लगा है, ऐसा बोला है मेरे को, पर मैं जाऊँ अंदर तो मालूम पड़े ना।
Storied buildings in the vicinity of the crash were charred in the explosion. The plane crashed near the hostel mess of BJ Medical College. The number of medical student casualties are not known as of now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Home Minister Amit Shah and Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu about the crash and asked the two ministers to go to Ahmedabad immediately and ensure all possible assistance is extended to those affected. Earlier, he had put up a post on social media platform X that read, "The tragedy in Ahmedabad has stunned and saddened us. It's heartbreaking beyond words. In this sad hour, my thoughts are with everyone affected by it. I've been in touch with ministers and authorities who are working to assist those affected." Home Minister Amit Shah, who rushed to Ahmedabad, also put up a post on social media platform X in which he said they're pained beyond words by the tragic plane crash in Ahmedabad. Disaster response forces have been quickly rushed to the crash site. Spoke with the Gujarat Chief Minister, Shri Bhupendra Patel, Home Minister Shri Harsh Sanghvi and Commissioner of Police of Ahmedabad to assess the situation.
यहाँ पे ही जो थे वो लोग खाना खा रहे हुए कुछ इनके डॉक्टर्स थे जो यहाँ पे थे और उनका खाना अभी भी जो है यहीं पर है। तो ये स्थिति बयां करती है कि कैसी हालत होगी, उस वक्त क्या हुआ होगा और कैसे लोगों को यहाँ से जो है वो बचाया गया होगा, क्या रेस्क्यू किया होगा।
प्लेन क्रैश हुआ है। बताते हैं अहमदाबाद से वह लंदन के लिए जा रहा था और उसमें कुछ इस दुर्घटना के कारण प्लेन क्रैश होने के नाते बहुत सारे यात्रियों को अपनी जान गंवानी पड़ी है। ईश्वर से मैं सबकी सुरक्षित रहने की कामना करता हूं। इस दुखद घटना के लिए मेरी सभी जितने भी पीड़ित परिवार हैं उन सब के प्रति हमारी संवेदना है।
What has happened in Ahmedabad is a very tragic accident. We have lost a lot of people. We extend our deepest condolences to all those who have lost their loved ones. There are, I understand, several foreigners also. Those updates you will receive from the relevant departments, Ministry of Civil Aviation, Air India and others. We also, it's still an evolving situation. Rescue operations are on, so you'll have to wait a little more time for exact details to be put out.
जो एयर इंडिया के प्लेन का बहुत ही दुखद हादसा हुआ है, हम सब बहुत पीड़ित हैं। मैं अपनी संवेदना सभी उन यात्रियों के परिवारजनों को देना चाहता हूं जिनके नज़दीकी परिवार के सदस्यों की इस दुर्घटना में देहांत हुआ है। ये घटना ने हम सभी को बहुत ही अत्यंत दुख पहुंचाया है। ईश्वर सभी परिवार के सदस्यों को शक्ति दे। इस दुखद घड़ी में हम सब उनके साथ हैं। ओम शांति।
Gautam Adani, whose company runs the Ahmedabad International Airport, also tweeted and said, "Our hearts go out to the families who've suffered an unimaginable loss. We're working closely with all authorities and extending full support to the families on the ground." And Campbell Wilson, Managing Director and CEO of Air India too, expressed his regrets.
A special team of caregivers from Air India is on their way to Ahmedabad to provide additional support. The investigations will take time, but anything we can do now, we are doing. We know that many people are concerned for the welfare of their loved ones. We have set up a special helpline that friends and family can reach us at. The number is 1-800-5691-444. That is 1-800-5691-444. We understand that people are eager for information, Please know that we will continue to share accurate and timely information as soon as we can. But anything we report must be accurate and not speculative. We owe that to everyone involved. For now, our teams are working around the clock to support passengers, crew, and their families, as well as investigators, however we can.
Meanwhile, condolences have been pouring in from around the world, from UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer to US Secretary of State Marco Rubio to other global leaders including Ursula von der Leyen, Maldives' Mohammad Muizzu, and Nepal's Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda have conveyed their condolences. They expressed support for India during this difficult time, as did King Charles of the UK. Even as relief efforts are underway, the Tata Group has announced 1 crore rupee in compensation to families of every person who has lost their life in this tragedy.
हमारी बहन जा रही थी
1 बजे जा रही थी प्लेन।
1:10 की फ्लाइट थी और जा रही थी लंदन। तो लंदन जाने से पहले ही क्रैश हो गया प्लेन।
Now, Captain Sumit Sabarwal, the pilot of the aircraft, had over 8,200 hours of flying experience, and his co-pilot, Clive Kunder, had over 1,100 hours under his belt. But what exactly led to one of the worst tragedies, air tragedies ever in India? And more importantly, what can be done so that this cannot happen again? We have Captain Sanjay Karve, aviation expert, Group Captain VN Jha, Senior Scientist, Aerospace, and Captain SS Panesar, Ex-Director, Flight Safety, Indian Airlines, Captain Ishan Khalid, aviation expert, now joining us. But before that, let's first take this across to the Executive Editor of TV9 Gujarati, Neeru Wadia, who now joins us. Neeru, thank you so much for being with us at this hour. Talk to us, tell us what is the latest that you can bring to us from the ground over there in Ahmedabad.
See, this incident marks one of the darkest days in Indian aviation history. The devastating tragedy unfolded in Ahmedabad's Meghani Nagar, and this is the very site where the plane crashed. Every minute, every passing minute, another stretcher is rolling out, bodies being carried away, one after another. It's a grim and heartbreaking scene here at the crash site. We are here since last so many hours, and we have been monitoring the situation. NDRF team along with SDRF, police, fire brigade, and of course paramilitary forces. As you can see at the site, everybody is here and they are into the rescue operation. The operation is going on. Rescue teams continue to sift through the wreckage while emergency services work tirelessly to assist the injured and recover the deceased. The community is in mourning and authorities are urging the public to stay clear of the area. And let me tell you, the nearby areas have been completely closed down, cordoned off. Just few minutes back, Home Minister Amit Shah, along with Chief Minister of Gujarat Bhupendra Patel and Gujarat Home Minister Harsh Sanghvi, visited the crash site to oversee the relief efforts. And a few data I would like to share among the passengers. On board, 169 Indian nationals were there and 53 British national, 7 Portuguese and 1 Canadian passenger was there on board the Air India flight flying to London. The DGCA and Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau are leading the probe along with the UK's Air Accident Investigation Branch. And the current situation is actually heartbreaking. the one after another stretcher is being rolled out, and also what we have witnessed is the eyewitnesses who are doing this relief work, rescue work. What they have told us, they have seen bodies apart, a few hands coming out of the debris, part of legs coming out of the debris, and we have witnessed TV9 team. I am here since last so many hours, since the afternoon. We have been witnessing stretcher one after another rolling out, bodies being carried out. A number of documents have also been recovered from this very site, and it has been deposited to the government department, concerned department. Let me tell you, cash in huge number have been recovered, mobile phones, gadgets, along with passports and other important documents have also been collected from the site, which may definitely help in the investigation, further investigation. So this is the situation right now, and definitely it will continue. And on the other side, if we talk about the civil hospital situation, extremely painful situation is definitely around, because the people who have lost their loved ones, they are still there in the hope that they might return someday.
Right, Neeru, the one thing I have to ask you at this stage is that do you have any latest updates as far as the students at the crash site is concerned? You know, at the PJ Medical College, you know, we know around 50 of them are injured. Any latest updates on that front?
Right now, there is no official information or confirmation on the number of casualties from the medical students, the residents, doctor who were actually present at the site when this crash took place. But it is being said that 50 to 60 students were there. Not exact numbers have been disclosed from the authorities right now, but we hope soon they will disclose the numbers of the exact casualties.
That Neeru Wadia there joining us from the crash site in Ahmedabad, the Executive Editor of TV9 Gujarati. Thank you, Neeru, for bringing us that latest ground report. Let's now take this across to Captain Sanjay Karve, aviation expert, Group Captain V.N. Jha, Senior Scientist, Aerospace, and Captain S.S. Panesar, ex-Director, Flight Safety, India Airlines, now joining us. Thank you, all of you, for taking time out to be with us here tonight here on News 9. Captain Sanjay Karve, the one thing that's being said again and again is that it looks like both the engines of this aircraft failed. Clearly, the landing gear was difficult to be put on, and that was what eventually led to this crash. But tell us at this stage, is there something fundamentally wrong with the Boeing 787 Dreamliner as a plane?
Well, you're asking me?
Yes. Captain Sanjay Karve, please unmute yourself. Captain Sanjay Karve.
Yeah, if you look at the videographs being put out by the television channels, in fact, I just saw one which was released by Ahmedabad Airport for the takeoff. You can see that the aircraft has taken off normally. The thrust which the engines have generated during takeoff appears to be normal. However, at a height of about 600 to 700 feet, the aircraft appears to be static and then starts losing height. The 787 as a design is not a modification of any other aircraft. It was a new design conceived by Boeing, and it has been a successful design. There are 1,200 aircraft of this type in different variants, flying over the world, flying over the Pacific, flying over the Atlantic. This is the first case where we had a total hull loss. What it appears is a total loss of thrust in both the engines. And pardon my saying so, if at 600 feet, an aircraft like 787 loses both the engines, you require a miracle to recover that aircraft. You just require a miracle. You don't have sufficient height. Flying from Indian airfields which are congested, you have no open space available. I would still like to commend an aircraft. You please look at the aircraft's flight path when it is descending. The wings are level. It's a steady approach down into the ground. So that means the pilots have tried their best to control the aircraft descent into disaster. That's all I can say. The engines have lost thrust. Loss of thrust could be because of any reason. Fuel starvation, loss of electrical signal, loss of engine, This will only come to know once we get a readout from the CVR and the DOTR. NTSB is there, FA is there, Boeing is involved. All these people would carry out a detailed investigation. Boeing and FAA would be more than interested than anyone else in coming to the correct picture because it affects 787s flying all over the world. And let us be very honest to ourselves. It's a very safe aircraft to fly. This is 1 in a million incident which should not have happened. The aircraft is safe to fly. It had flown in the morning from Delhi to Ahmedabad, an uneventful flight of 2 hours 15 minutes. It was on ground for a couple of hours, where obviously the turnaround servicing would have been carried out. Temperatures were hot. They were 40 degrees at Ahmedabad. The aircraft was practically at max hollow weight. But Ahmedabad has got a long runway, 11,400 feet, which is more than sufficient to cater for this. Obviously, we have had a loss of thrust. People are talking of bird hit, but at least the videographs do not show any birds. So it is too early to come to the conclusion that the birds have hit both the engines and engines have lost power. Because normally, if you have a bird hit on an engine, you will find a spark or a sort of a fire on that particular engine. There doesn't seem to be anything like this. In fact, there is a video message floating on some of the WhatsApp. I don't know how authentic it is. It has been taken by one of the passengers, where he's shown the takeoff roll and the aircraft unsticking. And just prior to hitting the ground, it shows a fireball. We really don't know how authentic it is. The police, the AIB, the NTSB obviously will go through all this. What I would like to re-emphasize is 787 is a safe aircraft to fly. As a normal passenger, you should not get worried or walk down.
Fair enough.
The inquiry will go into the details to
Group
find
Captain
out
VN
the
Jha.
cause of the incident and accident.
Fundamentally, the 787 is as an aircraft. It's the first ever crash of a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. So there's nothing wrong with the aircraft per se, and that makes it even more mysterious. What exactly could have gone wrong over here?
The FAA, NTSB, the Boeing, and in fact the Air Accident Investigation Board of the UK, all of them are joining in because it has got major impact.
Group Captain VN Jha, if you can hear us, please unmute yourself.
I'm sorry, I unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Look, you yourself have mentioned that the aircraft has got immaculate safety record, so there is no problem in this. And the same aircraft had flown from Delhi to Ahmedabad just an hour and a half back. So obviously, pilot wouldn't have noticed anything wrong. That could be a matter for concern. So let us assume that the aircraft was absolutely serviceable. You know, there are so many of the system engineers in this aircraft who first declare it fit and then only offer for the flying. That would have happened possibly at Delhi. And here it was a stopover, and thereafter the aircraft has taken off. As it looks for me, you know, I have done about 7 fatal aircraft accidents, but those were of the Indian Air Force. Those Indian Air Force aircrafts, mostly fighters, have got slightly different, aerodynamic characteristics than, as well as the other safety features in the cockpit, redundancy aspects particularly. So, aircraft is absolutely fine. This aircraft is fit, and that is why you have mentioned that such an immaculate safety record. But there are a couple of things here on this takeoff roll. I felt possibly that when the first officer would have given a call for V1, aircraft would have been absolutely fine, and that is the time of no return. Thereafter, I felt that possibly the type of acceleration that should have continued thereafter, immediately, especially immediately after takeoff. You know, there is a particular trajectory that you wish to see in an aircraft taking off from international airport, and especially the aircrafts like 787. There is a particular type of flight path you expect it to see, how it keeps on ascending thereafter. That was possibly missing as my eyes could feel it. I may be wrong. They are the experienced pilots here on the panel. They will tell you more. But I felt that was the beginning point. Thereafter, obviously, after having taken off, gone to about 500, 600 feet AGL, there was no time for return or trying to land back on the same runway. So the pilot had to go through. No, this is the time. Now aircraft is not ascending. On the contrary, now it starts descending here. You can see it here. So that is the time when a pilot would have given a SOS call that I can't control this aircraft, this cannot remain airborne. So that mayday call would have been given, and pilot has carried the aircraft in a manner as if he is trying to find a small stretch of the land where he can touch down. So aircraft attitude at the time of landing is nose up, and that is how it is going to land. This, to some of us, looks exactly the same attitude when the aircraft comes for landing. So those are the few things. But then, few things we must remember. Both engine giving out simultaneously. It is something very, very rare that it happens. Why should both engine start burning down, stop the thrust, that the type of thrust that is required? This is a matter of investigation that they will have to possibly look into, and look into all those features which can cause this. So that is the second one. Third thing, the pilot is having the control of the aircraft absolutely fine till the time that impact has happened. Finally, the impact has happened not at a plane, it has happened with the building first. So that is the point where possibly aircraft would have exploded, or the fire would have started thereafter. So it is very unfortunate. My condolences with in all relatives of those who have perished in this particular flight, in this accident. But I'm also happy that at least one person could walk out of the aircraft, and it will be a learner for the entire aviation community how this one person could survive the way that he is walking out from that particular place of accident. It is a miracle. It is a miracle, nothing else. So,
it is a miracle. Let's, also now take a look at what has happened in history so far as Boeings and crashes are concerned. The worst air crashes, let's take a look at the year 1966. India's Flight 101, route Bombay to London, crashing in France. People killed over 117. So we're bringing you the worst crashes. 1978, 213 people killed. Air India Flight 855, India to Dubai. These are some of the worst crashes in the history of Indian aviation. 1988, Indian Airlines Flight IC113, Mumbai to Ahmedabad, crashing in Ahmedabad. 130 people killed in that crash. In 1996, Saudi Arabian Airlines Boeing 747 and Kazakhstan Airlines flight crashing. 349 people. It was the famous Charki Dadri crash that took place in Haryana. And in the year 2010, Air India Express Flight 812 from Dubai to Mangaluru, crashing in Mangaluru. Over 150 people killed, 158 to be precise. Captain S.S. Manisa, that would make this, at this stage, the second worst air disaster in the history of Indian aviation, in terms of fatalities at least.
You're right, but at the same time, you see, we have to go through the investigation of this particular crash, that the pilot took off within a few seconds. He announced Mayday, Mayday. Pilots are very well trained for all the emergencies on simulator, but this must be very serious, which is beyond his control. That's why he announced Mayday, Mayday. Now, you see, this matter has to be investigated by professionals. Now we have to see who are the professionals from DGCA or Aircraft Accident Investigation Board who are going to investigate this. We have been writing various letters to the Ministry of Civil Aviation and DGCA to let's have a conference with veterans regarding air safety situation in India, about training engineering, all those things. There are certain reasons which pilots do not report. Most of the airline today, if a pilot reports any snag, he gets a warning letter in the evening, or they sack the pilot. Why you're writing this snag? No, all these factors, the pilots are not ready to report. They are scared. So only an independent investigation by involving the veterans, we can improve the safety of aviation. And knowing this particular incident, only the black box and the cockpit vice recorder will come out with 90%. We will be able to retrieve what are the reason for whether engine failure, both engine failure, or some other reason. Because immediately after takeoff, whether the gear did not go up, why they did not, everything, because the black box has more than 200 parameters which are recorded. Now, all these things by professional investigator in the past, many incidents happened, but they were not done by professional investigators. Now, today is a time to get together and find out all the incidents in the past and now this particular incident, and find out the remedial method to avoid such a recurrence in the future. All accidents are preventable. Some are difficult, some are easy. But then we have to find out and train the pilots accordingly. Today, I have a feeling even the training is not very proper, and it is time for the government of India to invite the professionals or having a common meeting with the engineering pilots, cabin crew together, and to know the problem what they're facing every day from the aircraft, and then advise the airline to improve on those factors. Unless we do this thing, the investigation of this report, I don't know how they will do the cover-up operation and on for what reason. I have my doubts if they do the problem. Unless you invite NTSB or Boeing company, let them be involved in this particular crash report, and they will be able to give the exact report about this crash.
Right.
It is high time that the ministry should call for the give time to professionally listen to us. They don't give time to us to meet. I've sent few mails to the secretary to talk about air safety in India, but they have no time to talk to us.
Okay.
It's shocking.
Okay.
You
Okay.
see, unless
Captain
you
Sanjay
talk
Karve,
and share your experience, you cannot improve the safety of aviation.
Captain Sanjay Karve, at this stage, I've been asking about the Boeing 787, Dreamliner as a plane as well. If there's an issue, because there was talks of a whistleblower as well. But let's take a look at the history as far as the crashes with the Boeing is concerned. Before we take this conversation any further, Captain Sanjay Karve, from your perspective, is it a problem with the aircraft? Is it a problem with the training of the pilots to fly this aircraft?
I think there should be a problem with the training, because most of the pilots undergo regular recurrent checks or the recurrent training on a level D simulator, where the emergencies are injected. And in fact, as a pilot myself, I can tell you, at times we do feel that the emergencies which are injected into the simulator would never happen in real life. So as a pilot, you're trained fully well to handle emergencies. However, for an aircraft, a heavy aircraft like a 787, when you're flying over a populated area, you lose both the engines at 600 feet. It is a nightmare. Then you really require luck and God's grace to come out of that situation. Now, why this incident has happened? Obviously, the NTSB, the AIB, the AIB, your FAA, and Boeing would definitely go through it. Point to be noted is this aircraft landed at Ahmedabad at around 11 o'clock from Delhi. It got airborne from Delhi at 9 o'clock. Prior to that, the same aircraft flew from Paris to Delhi. So obviously the aircraft was flyworthy. It was cleared accordingly. What actually went wrong? For what appears to be loss of thrust, I really cannot say confidently that both the engines have lost thrust. As to what apparently went wrong, where the engines appear to have lose thrust, where it could not go up. Aircraft was in a climb, so we cannot say that the controls have got locked. If the controls had got locked, it would have been in the climb pattern, and it would have been loss of speed. Aircraft would have crashed. Aircraft has gone into a controlled descent, like what we normally call it CFIT. It's a controlled flight into terrain. But in this particular case, it is because of loss of thrust. Now, loss of thrust could be because of n number of reasons. The engines losing thrust because of lack of fuel, There could be a mechanical blockage in the fuel lines, or
Home Minister Amit Shah about to speak to the media in Ahmedabad. Let's quickly cut across live and listen in.
आज दोपहर को एयर इंडिया की फ्लाइट संख्या AI171 दुर्घटनाग्रस्त हुई और कई पैसेंजर इसके अंदर हताहत होने की संभावनाएं हैं। इस घटना से पूरा देश क्षुब्ध है और पूरा देश एक साथ पूर्ण संवेदनाओं के साथ ये जो दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण हादसे में पैसेंजर हताहत हुए हैं, इनके परिजनों के साथ खड़ा है। सबसे पहले मैं भारत सरकार, गुजरात सरकार, भारत सरकार के प्रधानमंत्री जी और गुजरात सरकार की ओर से भी जो लोग हताहत हुए हैं, इनके परिजनों के प्रति गहरी संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं। 10 ही मिनटों में हादसे के भारत सरकार के पास सूचना पहुंची। तुरंत ही मैंने मुख्यमंत्री जी, यहाँ के गृह मंत्री, होम डिपार्टमेंट के कंट्रोल रूम, सिविल एविएशन डिपार्टमेंट, सिविल एविएशन मंत्री, सभी से संपर्क किया। प्रधानमंत्री जी का भी तुरंत ही फोन आ गया और भारत सरकार और गुजरात सरकार के सभी डिपार्टमेंट एक साथ होकर राहत और बचाव कार्य में लगे। इस विमान में कुल मिलाकर 230 यात्री देश के और विदेश के और 12 क्रू मेंबर सवार थे। इसमें से एक यात्री का बचने का अच्छा समाचार मिला है, मैं उनको मिलकर आया हूं। मृत्यु का आंकड़ा तो डीएनए परीक्षण और यात्रियों की पहचान के बाद ही अथॉरिटी अधिकृत रूप से घोषित करेगी, मगर जो यात्री बचा है उसको मैं मिलकर आया। घटना के तुरंत बाद गुजरात सरकार ने बहुत त्वरा से डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट की सारी इकाइयों को अलर्ट करते हुए, चाहे हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट हो, चाहे फायर ब्रिगेड हो, चाहे पुलिस विभाग हो, भारत सरकार की भी सीएपीएफ को संपर्क कर सभी ने एक साथ मिलकर राहत और बचाव का कार्य चालू किया। मगर 1.25 लाख लीटर ईंधन जो विमान के अंदर ही था और लगभग गर्मी तापमान इतना ऊंचा हो गया कि किसी को बचाने की मौका ही नहीं मिला। अब मैं घटना स्थान पर भी जाकर आया हूं। सारे यात्रियों के मृतदेह को बाहर निकालने का काम लगभग समाप्त हो चुका है। जितने यात्रियों के परिजन यहां पहुंच चुके हैं वो सबका डीएनए लेने की कार्यवाही भी 2-3 घंटों में समाप्त हो जाएगी। विदेश में जिनके परिजन हैं उनको सूचना देने की कार्यवाही समाप्त हो चुकी है और जैसे ही पहुंचते हैं उनके भी डीएनए सैंपल लिए जाएंगे और मृतदेहों की पहचान के लिए जितने मृतदेह मिले हैं इनके भी डीएनए सैंपल लेने की कार्यवाही समाप्त हो चुकी है। गुजरात में ही लगभग 1000 के आसपास डीएनए टेस्ट करने पड़ेंगे। ये सभी टेस्ट करने की क्षमता गुजरात में विकसित है, तो डीएनए टेस्टिंग के लिए कहीं गुजरात के बाहर जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। गुजरात की एफएसएल और नेशनल फॉरेंसिक साइंस यूनिवर्सिटी दोनों मिलकर कम से कम समय में डीएनए का परीक्षण पूरा करने के बाद परिवारजनों को अपना मृतदेह परिजन का मृतदेह सौंपने का काम करेंगे। उनके रहने की सुविधा, उनकी सांत्वना की सुविधा, जिनको मेडिकल प्रॉब्लम ट्रॉमा के कारण हुए इनकी मेडिकल की सुविधा, ये सारी व्यवस्था बहुत सुचारू रूप से हो चुकी है। अभी रिव्यू मीटिंग में सारी व्यवस्थाओं को हम सब मंत्रियों ने साथ में मिलकर देखा है। एविएशन डिपार्टमेंट ने अपनी जांच शुरू कर जांच तेजी से आगे बढ़े, इसके लिए भी एविएशन मंत्री जी ने सूचनाएं दी। मैं फिर से एक बार राहत काम में जिन जिन एजेंसियों ने त्वरा के साथ बचाव और राहत का काम किया, वो सभी का धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं। और फिर से एक बार जिन्होंने अपने परिजनों को गंवाया है, हताहत हुए हैं, वो सभी को मनपूर्वक संवेदनाएं व्यक्त करता हूं। मैं एक बार जरूर कहना चाहता हूं कि ये एक्सीडेंट है, एक्सीडेंट को कोई रोक नहीं सकता, परंतु 365 दिन 24 घंटा इस तरह की घटना के लिए प्रशासन का जो अलर्टनेस है, उसकी कसौटी उसी वक्त होती है जब ऐसी घटनाएं होती है। और आज गुजरात के डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट की तैयारियों का एक प्रकार से दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण तरीके से मगर कसौटी हुआ और बहुत त्वरा के साथ यहाँ पर काम किया गया, वो पूरे देश के मीडिया के सामने और परिजनों के सामने भी आया है। अंत में मैं फिर से एक बार सम्माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की ओर से, भारत सरकार और गुजरात सरकार की ओर से सभी हताहत लोगों के परिजनों के प्रति गहरी संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं। धन्यवाद।
That was the official statement from India's Home Minister Amit Shah on the Ahmedabad air tragedy that has killed 241 people, at least 241 of the 242 aboard the aircraft. We still don't know what the numbers are as far as the people killed on the ground were concerned. Bear in mind, this aircraft crashed into the BJ Medical College hostel near the canteen premises, where it crashed during lunch hour. So we understand at this stage that there are about 50 odd students who were there, and many of them have been injured and they've been taken to the hospital, but we don't know the latest details on whether any of them have lost their lives. We have Captain Sanjay Karve, aviation expert, Group Captain V.N. Jha, Senior Scientist Aerospace, and Captain S.S. Panis are with us on the broadcast. Let me take this across to Captain Sanjay Karve. We also have Captain Ishant Khalid joining us. Captain Sanjay Karve, you were talking about the importance of training and why it matters, especially when it comes to an aircraft like this.
Hey, Papa, Assalamualaikum. Walaikum Assalam, beta.
All the pilots undertake the simulator training very religiously. In fact, more than anything else, more than the flying, the pilots dread the simulator flying because the number of emergencies that are injected by the instructor are phenomenal. And most of the emergencies will never happen in real life. But it makes you prepared to handle a real-time emergency. So I refuse to believe that there's anything wrong with the training. It is just that the height available to the pilot and the terrain below, and if you're losing thrust on both the engines as what it appears, it is practically a no-go situation for any trained pilot. I had some of my friends telling me if Sully could land, why he couldn't. There's a major difference. Sully had a nice, calm river in front of him. This poor captain had a thick, populated city in front of him. It makes a lot of difference. Let us not just compare this particular aircraft with what happened over the Hudson. It's an absolutely outrageous suggestion.
Captain Ishan Khalid, let me take this across to you now. At this stage, we are all waiting for what the analysis of the black box says. But, you know, in terms of the visuals we've seen, you also the latest visuals right now on your screens of the crash site, the BJ Medical College hostel. We have the interior visuals over there with the aircraft where it's crashed, the interiors of the aircraft and the interiors, you know, mangled with the mess of the what it is made of the building per se. Your observations at this stage, because questions will be raised about the aircraft. What was wrong with the aircraft? You know, we've had a history of crashes as far as Boeing is concerned, Boeing 737 in particular. But as far as 787 is concerned, this is the first ever crash.
Yes, 787 has been in service for a very, very long time. It has flown millions of hours across the world, and it is generally considered to be a very safe and reliable machine. That having been said, this accident definitely is not attributable to weather, but attributable to either loss of power or loss of lift. Loss of power means engines have stopped producing the required amount of thrust, whether that is due to bird injection or due to any other technical fault yet to be established. The second one could be loss of lift. Loss of lift is something that can happen. Like you're seeing the aircraft right now, like it's a positive rate climb, gear up. So the co-pilot goes to raise the gear up, and instead of the gear going up, the flaps probably has gone up, and thereafter the descent has happened. There is no loss of engine power on any of the engine. Aircraft does not show a tendency to yaw. Aircraft does not show any tendency to veer away because of loss of thrust. It is almost impossible to have asymmetric loss of power. That means both the engines losing power at absolutely the same time. What would have happened is one engine would have gone, then the second engine would go, and thereafter you will have a yawing motion. The aircraft will go to the right and the left. That hasn't happened. So a loss of power simultaneously on the same engine at same rate seems to be a very unlikely proposition. Loss of lift can happen. And if that has happened, was it human error or was it technical? Because there are chances that, you know, the flaps would have auto-retracted. If that was the thing, it will be a bizarre technical fault, and it would lead to a lot of research as to how that happened. The switch position inside the cockpit will really determine where the switch position was. That is the landing gear and the flaps, because gear is down, so gear lever would not have been selected up. Flap lever, if it is not at 5 position or the takeoff position, it could be indicated even in the present state of debris that we have. Also, DFDR will have the recording as to what has happened at that point of time. Almost 256 parameters or even more is recorded. So we would have every second by second recording of the event, and we would know exactly what happened, and the entire flight schedule can be recreated digitally, and it would be there for us to see as soon as the aircraft investigation board comes to a conclusion. However, at this juncture, it does not appear to be of anything else which could be a contributory factor like weather, hot temperature. Yes, it had a lot of fuel because it was going on a long flight, and that particular fuel would be a very big bomb. And if I was to give you an kind of an like it had more fuel than the aircraft that actually went into 9/11 crash. It had much more fuel than that. It was as big an aircraft. So it's a very huge explosion, very huge catastrophic loss of men and life and material. But at this point of time, it is very difficult to say. All our panelists who are well-accomplished pilot to actually say why the gear was down, because that's the only thing that we see very clearly. So if the gear was down, was it intentional or was it non-intentional? Okay. Between the pilot and the co-pilot, did the pilot know that the gear is going up and it wasn't going up, and actually the flaps was going up, causing the aircraft to descend down, all the way down? And since the pilot on control was not able to maintain a flight, a climb path, he asked for an Mayday call. Mayday call is just to say that, we are into a very grave danger of life for the aircraft and occupant on board. Very difficult to say, but visuals, the only question that I have it right now is that, that gear was not supposed to be down at that point of time. That means there is something that has happened which is not as per the book.
Captain Ishan Khalid, the only thing I can ask you at this stage is this, can we ensure that this never happens again? Is there a way to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Unless we know what has happened, we will never be able to ensure that this does not happen again. But both engines going off simultaneously, I don't know. In probabilities, will it be 1 in 1 trillion kind of an event? Because one engine going is 1 to the power of 8 almost billion times. But both engines going simultaneously is something which look at the aircraft. It is perfectly flyable. It's holding the takeoff attitude. It is climbing up nicely, and this is where you will select gear up. Okay, and the gear, I can't make out the position of flaps. Okay, and the aircraft starts to sink. I don't see, there is slight amount of yaw to the right. That may mean that, you might have had a right power loss, or maybe both side power, a slight amount of yaw. But the aircraft per se, the pilot was maintaining exactly the attitude that he has been trained to maintain all this time. So very, very bizarre accident, and I wish and that we are able to find out the exact cause, because technology today is so mature that we would know exactly what has happened. We may know in 7 days, or we may know in 6 months, but we would know it.
The answers will not be available to us any sooner than a week, isn't it, at this stage?
Look, the thing is that, it's very easy to take down the DFDR and CVR and data download. But in this case, the stakes are too high. So the data download won't happen unless there is a Boeing representative from the highest authority. There would be someone from the UK CAA here. So all the members have to get together, and it is in that particular place that the aircraft DFDR will be opened. And DFDR, we have the ability to download the DFDR, but here it is not just the downloading the DFDR, it is post-accident. So the whole process of downloading the DFDR will involve breaking open the entire case. So it's like a forensic examination. Normally what DGCA does is not forensic examination of DFDR. It does a normal download the data, analyze, and say that, okay, fine, this, and they do on a regular basis a batch of aircraft. A flight is done as part of the quality control of standard operating procedures that's being followed in the cockpit. Okay, so but here it will not be the same thing. It's not like, take the DFDR and download it and say, okay, this is what has happened. No, there is a lot of stake in it. There are insurance companies involved, manufacturing company involved, at least 3 countries, India, Portuguese, and UK will be involved. And then there will be a forensic department that would layer by layer, they will take open the, the black box that we call is actually an orange box. It is, it has, 7-8 layers of protection. It protects from impact, it protects from fire, it protects from ocean water. It is, so you have to now peel it off layer by layer and then reach the hard disk and then download. That will take time.
That will take time. Captain Ishan Khalid, they're getting us that perspective. Thank you for joining us, Captain Ishan Khalid. Let's now quickly listen to some of the reactions that are coming in.
हमारे नेबर की लड़की लंदन में ही रहते थे, बड़ौदा से हम अभी आए हैं। अंदर जाने ही नहीं, अपडेट ही नहीं है कुछ, तो कैसे पता चलेगा?
मेरा लड़का है ना, वो ब्रेक पड़ा था खाने का, तो हॉस्टल में खाने गया था इधर, અને હોસ્ટેલ में ही प्लेन क्रश हुआ, पर मेरे लड़का को कुछ हुआ नहीं, बात हुई मेरी, पर इसके भाईबंद है ज़्यादा हुए तो लोग मर गए, ये फिर मेरे लड़का को देखने जाना है अंदर। मेरे लड़का बोला है कि मैं अच्छा दूसरे मार से कूदा था ना तो थोड़ा खाली लगा है ऐसा बोला है मेरे को, पर मैं जाऊँ अंदर तो मालूम पड़े ना।
फिर से बाहर निकला तो मैंने देखा कि आवाज जोर से आवाज आया विंग्स का, फिर पूरा धुआं भर गया, लोग यहाँ से भगदड़ मची। उसके बाद आके ये देख रहे थे ये हादसा की स्थिति। आने के बाद देखा कि पूरा मलबा बिखरा हुआ, आग लगी है, पूरा धुआं गुब्बारा है, कुछ भी दिखाई नहीं दे रहा, समझ में नहीं आ पा रहा था क्या है। हाँ, उसके बाद पता चला कि ये विंग्स गिरा हुआ है, फ्लाइट वो किया, और फिर प्रशासन ने चारों तरफ से घेर लिया। बिल्डिंग है जो सरकारी बना रखा है, रहते हैं लोग, वो दोनों बिल्डिंगों में लोग रहते हैं, वो 100% हुई होगी।
Very tragic and very, very horrific. And even till now, I have to say I'm in a state of shock. When the event happened, I was in Vijayawada doing the review of that airport and attending one state program. But the moment I got to know this incident happened, I wanted to be here physically at the site, try to find out more about what happened and what needs to be done. And also Honorable PM has called me and also told me to be there at the site and also look into the operations which is going on right now. And right now, if you ask me, I can only think about the passengers, their families, what they might be going through, and especially the civilians also who are there near the crash site. A lot of relief effort has been done already, right from Indian Army, NDRF, state police, medical departments, including aviation concerned departments. Everyone has attended immediately. The fire department, to the best of their abilities, they have been functioning here and doing the rescue operations. And we still have to find out the numbers. I don't want to put any wrong numbers to you, so we still have to go through the numbers. Very sad to know that Vijay Rupani ji, Chief Minister, was also there, and like you were mentioning, other nationals were also there, children were also there. I would only say that each and every life is precious to us. Each and everyone is a very important person to us. So it's an incident which has shaken the nation also. Everyone has expressed their grief. We are going to do a fair and thorough investigation. We are not going to spare anyone. We are not going to leave any stone unturned. We will do properly according to the protocol, and we are going to go to the depth of why this incident has happened. That much I can tell you now.